Keep back the same. Like, keep cracking the same, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe for more of this good content we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. Good news you can use. Get knowledge, though. You ain't thinking nobody's college, though. Big dog, tap in with that tap in to make sure, in fact, tapped in with that good tap in. Everything we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. It's that good news you can use. It's that good knowledge, though. You're not finna get into nobody's college, though, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe for more of this good content, man. Tap in with that tap in to make sure, in fact, tapped in with that good tap in. You feel me? Get into that if you ain't got into all of that. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Hit all say tapped in for the latest and the greatest. Everything we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. And I need y'all to make sure that y'all register. What I'm talking about. It's included to win $100, 15,000, 25,000 subscribers gonna get away $100. Make sure I get into that. Drop that comment off. Man at the Garden. Please don't touch my got a body on it. Fairy Tales, Won't Forget, and Boogeyman all out now. Get into that. We finna jump into this content, man. SKG says Big U was involved in the unalignment of Nipsey Hussle. Let's get into that content without no further ado. Let's get into it. Let's go.
On what his involvement could have been with the Nipsey situation. What do you think about that?
He absolutely was involved in Nipsey's situation. And people, they don't want to say it. They're scared to say it. That's fine. I'll say it for you. He was involved with the Nipsey situation. And I want to let the detectives, because they're supposed to reopen Nipsey's case. That's what I was told.
Oh, wow.
I want to let them do their work. And I just feel like if they do their due diligence, they will find out exactly what they're looking for. But come on now. You think he wasn't? Nipsey died in 2019, and he allegedly did this to Rayshawn in 2021. He felt untouchable.
So when Loose Cannon puts up the version of the story where he got a call from Big U 30 minutes before it happened, do you see that and you tend to be like, yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, I believe it. And I'm going to tell you why I believe it. Do you remember when Loose was on the show? And then I think it was an attorney number posted a deceased for Loose with the video.
Okay.
I called the attorney and talked to the attorney myself. And the attorney, she told me that Big U just hired her for that cease and desist.
Okay.
So if there was never anything, why would you hire an attorney for that?
Yeah, right.
And so when they kept saying, oh, the attorney is fake, I talked to the attorney and I told her, do you know what type of monster you're representing? And then she told me, I don't even know him like that. He called me to hire me for this specific.
That doesn't sound like something an attorney should be legally allowed to divulge. I mean, we get that the Tig Old Biddy's is Tig Old Biddy, but I don't think that that's something that sounds like that's a breach of attorney-client privilege. I'm not sure that that's 100% true, because that's seeming like that's a clear breach of attorney-client privilege. Clear breach.
Case, for this cease and desist.
Right.
So that was not a fake attorney. That was a real attorney.
Yeah, because I've gotten fake cease and desist that seemed like they were cooked up on ChatGPT, but that was from an actual
law firm, because I spoke with her. I spoke with her myself, and then I called WACK, and I'm like, I just spoke with the attorney. I'm going to do my due diligence. So yeah, I picked up the phone and called her.
And even just in the last day, I've had a few people like sending me videos of fights that it seemed like in the video it was Big U and Eric Holder involved in these videos. Like they may have been closer than certain people have led us to believe.
Absolutely. Big U is a habitual liar. If you haven't noticed that, if you just go back and look at his videos and look at different things, he's a habitual liar, a compulsive liar. Even with me in his situation, he lied and said he didn't know me. And then after that, he started posting pictures of us on his Instagram and tried to give them a version of a story that wasn't even true. He's a habitual liar.
Damn. As far as the whole checking in thing goes, like, is that something that you've just known about for forever? Like, is that even slightly shocking to you?
No, because I did know about it. I knew about the checking in because he bragged about the checking in, but I didn't know the details per se in regards to how deep it went. That's like if you hear checking in, you're like, okay, that means someone have to check in.
Right. If I go to Houston tomorrow, I could check in with a variety of people and maybe they even move around with me, maybe, and there's a lot of reasons why they could want to do that. They could just want some attention or clout, hanging out with people, whatever. That's very different than the situation being like, no, you have to pay X amount of dollars or else we're going to make this very difficult.
Well, I knew about certain rappers paying. I wonder
if she's gonna go on the stand and testify. Interesting. Because this is a woman who WACK kept saying, yeah, you a snitch. You put a case on SKG. This is an SKG girl, so I'm wondering where this is finna go.
About that part, right? But I didn't know to the extent in regards to, I didn't know that if they don't check in, they get hurt or unalive. Right? So when I say the details, I wasn't too privy to those details, but I did know about, okay, this person, they have to check in.
Right.
I just didn't know what happened, I guess, if the check-in wasn't checked in. If that makes sense. Like, okay, well, what happened?
Because when I remember sitting there having the conversation with Loose Cannon, and he's kind of talking about them getting $50,000 out of Rick Ross and Meek Mill and shit, just so that they could like continue to be out at some club.
And all this is gonna be terrible in the indictment, for sure.
Or something, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, big U's on that? Like, that's how you guys were getting down? Like, I was so confused, and now the feds have this all in the indictment, and I'm kind of just reading the indictment like, oh, okay. I would thought that Loose Cannon was doing some attention shit and just kind of making stuff up to have a viral clip or whatever. And he didn't just talk about it on my podcast. He talked about it even more on Academics' podcast. But that was kind of shocking to me. Like on the podcast, people think that I know about this stuff and then I get people to talk about it because I already know. And it's like, no, people are just spilling their guts, like telling me their life story, which unfortunately in Loose Cannon's situation, it's like, if this was a couple years ago, in the eyes of the Fed.
Unfortunately, Loose Cannon's just an idiot, but go off.
That doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You might as well have done it last week as far as they're concerned.
I mean, at the end of the day, I just feel like with you, you know, I hear what people say. I've heard everything. Adam's a culture bunch, but he's this, he's that, right? But when you really dissect it and you look at everything, at least a person like me, you provide a platform. You don't hold a gun to people's head and tell them what to say. You don't force people to tell you what they're doing. Just like I'm here, I'm telling my story. People pick and choose what to say. And unfortunately, sometimes people say stuff that incriminates them. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Right.
You know, so.
Definitely. So you got arrested at one point for throwing a water bottle at him?
That was last year.
Okay. Oh, that situation in the hotel. Okay.
No, it wasn't last year. It wasn't water bottle. It was a Mountain Dew bottle.
Okay, my bad. But you ended up getting arrested by the end of that?
Well, he pressed charges. So the hotel wasn't going to press charges on me.
Right.
What he did was a citizen's arrest. And so he did a citizen's arrest. He pressed charges on me. And that's so crazy because when he jumped on me and he did all of that to me, I never put him in jail. I didn't press charges. I was raised, and that's another thing when you deal with dysfunctional living. I was raised to not go to the police, right? So I took it. If I would have pressed charges on Big Q for what he did to me, he probably would have still been in jail. And I didn't. You know, and that's another thing because people's like, well, if he did this, why didn't you press charges? I was raised to not do things like that. Can you fault me? Fought my environment where I came from. Today, I would definitely press charges because I'm a different person.
Do you have regrets about that? Because the whole situation could have played out quite differently, huh?
I do, right? But if you knew better, you would do better. I didn't know. I was a young girl. You know, I'm a grown woman now. And that's probably why I'm not scared anymore. Today, I wouldn't let him get away with that. But back then, I didn't know any better.
All right, man. So that's SKG and her relationship with Big U. We finna go ahead and get up out of here to the next one. Y'all know the deal is red dots to the left. Y'all know the rest. Free Avenue Angel till he's free. This situation finna get tricky. We gone.